Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Sonic Creations. It has been a hot minute, but there has been a lot of talk of a new Sonic Frontiers 2 trailer of some kind or some sort of teaser, CGI teaser. I just wanted to pop in and give my thoughts on Frontiers 2 officially, since I haven't really had the chance to do that up until this point. And with all the buzz going around of like, when are we actually going to be able to get an official reveal? My guess is that it's probably going to be next year. And I think a lot of people are probably feeling the same now that we didn't get it at the Game Awards. It's still possible they could do something at the very end of this month, but I doubt it. I feel like that was their opportunity to do something, and if they had something to share, it would have been at that event. And now that that's come and passed, it's now time to discuss, what do I expect from this game? What are they cooking up? Because it seems like they're very confident with everything I've been hearing in this next title. I mean, I would hope so, right? You would hope that they're super confident in every title that they're working on, but I also want to discuss, is it possible that we could be seeing the Heroes remake or some sort of remake or remaster after all, right? We know that games like Sonic Heroes and Shadow the Hedgehog, games that I recently discussed on my channel, which you can check out in the description if you're so inclined, we know that these games have been trapped on old hardware, or we know that there was a PC version of Heroes and it did get like mod support recently, and they kind of cracked the code and now all of these mods are possible, and they fixed the aspect ratio and everything so it looks nice and clean and crisp. But at the end of the day, I still want these games to be able to come to Steam. I really think they should just do a collection of Sonic Heroes and Shadow the Hedgehog and just bundle them up, maybe with Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 in there as well. Of course, that may include them delisting the original individual Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, which I think a lot of people would have issue with. So I don't know if I want that, but I definitely want a collection of Heroes and Shadow the Hedgehog, since they both run on the same engine, which I believe is some EA engine that they borrowed. Maybe that has something to do, as I mentioned in previous videos, with us not getting these games ported to Steam earlier. But with that out of the way, is a Heroes remake possible, or is a remake possible at all? Well, you guys all know this. I don't even have to say it. Iizuka-san said he is not interested in doing remakes, and we have to respect that. Yeah, he could be just diverting attention away from that, but why would you want to, right? If you were planning on making remakes, they would at least say that, maybe not which game they're remaking, but they would at least admit, I think, that, you know what, we are making remakes, we are interested in that, and do expect to see that in the near future, but we haven't got anything like that. So my guess is it's really just Frontiers 2 that is where all the cooking is going on, and I know they are cooking up something that is going to blow our socks off come next year whenever they reveal. And yeah, it's probably just going to be like a CGI trailer to start with. I'm not sure if we're actually going to end up getting any big gameplay trailer. I think that's going to come much later next year. I mean, who knows, right? I don't know how far out we are from this. I'd like to assume, I don't want to like give any false hope here, but I'd like to assume that we'll probably see gameplay of this game later next year, like somewhere almost a year from now, just later next year. But I want to get into the fun part of this discussion, which is, what do I really expect, since I haven't given my official thoughts? So here's what I'm thinking. Now, we know there's going to be a 5th Sonic movie planned for 2028, but where I'm going with this exactly is that for the first time in a long time, I think the movies have boosted the popularity of other Sonic characters, and I think Shadow has created an interest in the universe of Sonic and where all the other characters are and what their stories are and what's going on with them. And because of that, I think that will impact Sonic Team's and Iizuka-san's approach for future Sonic games in terms of having other playable characters. Now, the reason that I bring this up in particular is one of the first things that I'm kind of predicting for this next game, or sort of sharing my desire for, is that Kishimoto-san himself on Twitter said he has interest in bringing back Blaze as a playable character, and what could that look like for Frontier-style gameplay? You know, this open zone, sort of do a little action, do a little puzzle solving, go through some action stages, all in one package, right? Those other characters have already been proven to be some of the favorite characters of games like Sonic 06, and Project 06 sort of cements that we really want Blaze the Cat, Silver the Hedgehog playable again. again. Now, I don't know if Silver's going to show up as a in post-credit scene character reveal at the end of the 4th movie. It's more likely that they're setting up the Shadow the Hedgehog storyline for the 2028 Sonic movie project that was teased, so that's my assumption, is that we're not getting a show for Shadow the Hedgehog and Keanu Reeves. We're getting their own movie that's going to cover, or at least lightly adapt, the story of 2005 Shadow the Hedgehog, which of course Jeff Fowler worked on the intro for back in the day. So seems more likely to me than them diving directly into Sonic 06 territory in terms of like adapting that story. And you know, that is probably going to look totally different. They may not even use some of the same characters for that story. Who knows, right? But Silver eventually is going to be coming to the movies along with Blaze and a bunch of other characters like Chaotix and whatnot. So the question is, with the popularity rising, like, I know Sonic Team doesn't have the ins and outs of what Paramount and Jeff Fowler are doing with the movie universe. Obviously, as we know, with the movie Shadow DLC for Shadow Generations, it didn't necessarily have anything story heavy, or they were just going based off things they saw in trailers and things that they knew were going to be in the movie, like Shadow himself, right? They did a rough idea of what his design would be, but that's why there's mods to make the design more accurate to the final film. So maybe they were given prototype stuff, but I don't know, right? We just don't know. My thing is that the movies are definitely impacting the zeitgeist of Sonic, and they're impacting the way Sonic Team is thinking about these games. They must be. So I just think that with the Final Horizons DLC and everything else I mentioned, it's very likely that we could finally get in Frontiers 2 the classic trio of 2006, which is Sonic, Shadow, and Silver, all playable, and maybe Blaze as well, right? I just think that this is the way to go. Now, of course, Metal Sonic is always going to be a popular character, but he's especially popular right now because of Sonic Movie 4, and so him being playable, along with Amy Rose, of course, is very likely for this Frontiers game. Whether it just be like a Shadow Generation style movie DLC for them, or if it's straight up like they're involved in the plot of the game canon, right? That's what I'm really interested to see, and I'm sure you guys are as well, is are we ever gonna get a boss fight with Super Shadow, Super Silver, Super Sonic all fighting some kaiju, you know, like whatever it is, like whatever Super Giganto, just color him yellow and throw him in there, whatever they're planning, right? It would be really cool to have 3 Super Hedgehogs playable in one of those Frontiers style boss battles. If they get the music right, if they bring back Kellen Quinn, or if they bring in some other musicians, either way, if they just make some banger tracks and allow you to play as all the characters that are playable, which would be speed type characters in their super forms, and this would even include Blaze and Metal Sonic. Like Metal Sonic could upgrade to Neo Metal Sonic, or he could just be Super Neo Metal Sonic, and then you could have Burning Blaze for, you know, her transformation with the Soul Emeralds and whatnot. So there's so many possibilities to kind of enhance what Frontiers has already given us, and that's the kind of stuff that I think about, and I get so hyped because I just know they're probably cooking right now with the animation and making it so much more polished than Frontiers ever could have been. And this applies to the worlds and their designs as well. Like, I am of the camp that agrees that while I enjoy Frontiers and it's one of my favorite Sonic games of all time, it is sort of sore on the eyes at times with the pop-in and having random platforms just kind of floating in the air. I know it kind of fits with this whole cyberspace aesthetic that they're trying to go for, where it's like these things are just appearing and it's a part of the Starfall Islands, but I just personally think it's a little sore in the eyes. It doesn't look that great. I like it when the design is more integrated with the rails, with the platforms and everything. So I think if they're going more in that direction to make a more natural environment for these characters to go through, something akin to like Crisis City, Kingdom Valley, City Escape, Grand Metropolis, some type of environment that would be more fun to explore, you know. And maybe Shadow Generations cemented that fact because everyone seemed to enjoy its level design and the way that they made the levels feel very natural with their design. Even Chaos Island looked better in Shadow Generations than Frontiers, so clearly they're already improving on that type of level design in the game. So that's another thing that I hope to see in Frontiers 2 is better, more integrated level design. But I think, you know, if the Final Horizons showed us anything, it's that like any character can be playable, but especially the speed type characters, which have always been Sonic, Shadow, Blaze, and I would include Silver in that. Even though he was pretty slow in 06, I think if they speed him up a little bit, I mean, we all saw how fast he could go with his psychokinesis in the likes of the Sonic 06 cutscenes, right? And we know that Blaze can speed herself up with the pyrokinesis, right? Her pyro pyrokinetic powers. So there really is no excuse not to include these characters in this speed action platforming game. Also, I hope they go more in the direction of making these games like a hybrid of Sonic Unleashed, Sonic Adventure, and Devil May Cry. It seems like that's the direction we're going in, right? Where it, and you can even say Unleashed, it's pulling from a little bit too, sure, with the Werehog, but I'd argue the Werehog was like its own separate kind of gameplay style that was very, very different, whereas Frontiers is like this hybrid mix of both of them being able to work together, keeping the speed and all that stuff, whilst not losing the identity of the game. So I think that with all that being said, that Kishimoto-san can make it happen, because I think he is like one of the leads or the director or something of Frontiers 2. I think he's in charge of this project mostly, and Izuka-san is just a producer. So if that's the case, right, that is really what I'm hoping for, is that regardless of what the movies are doing with Silver, I don't know if they'll ever get to introduce Silver into the movies, and if they do, it's probably going to be somewhere in the 2030s. My guess is that, or maybe 2030 itself, but my guess is that we're not getting the 06 storyline adapted for a little bit, and that they're going to focus on the Heroes, Sonic CD hybrid, and then go directly into the Shadow the Hedgehog plot, and then maybe for the final movie, if they're not going to make any more, which I don't see why they would stop, it's doing so well, but let's say it is, 06 would be a good note to end on, right? It's like the most climactic, highest stakes, and introduces the final new characters to the core cast. There hasn't really been any new characters since 06 that were introduced that stuck as well off the top of my head. I mean, Infinite, you could argue, was pretty popular, and a lot of people like his character design and his character I think, he was definitely undercooked with the writing, but obviously, maybe if they had more time, yeah, his design is great, his character is great. So all that to say, I just think that the direction is clear. We want more characters to have the focus, to have the spotlight. Izuka-san mentioned recently, sometime this year, I don't remember exactly when it was, but he'd like to do more year ofs for the other characters, so like Year of Silver, Year of Blaze, and so on. So if that is the case, because right now we're kind of getting like a semi-year of Amy and Metal Sonic, right? They're kind of sharing the spotlight for this film. But I do wonder, how that is impacting which characters they're deciding to be in this next game and have a place or have some form of DLC or whatnot. So we'll have to wait and see on that, of course. But this is what I really want. I really want that classic trio, which again, I say classic, it almost makes me and maybe some other people think of classic Sonic, not what I'm talking about. It's weird, right? Because it's been like 20 years since Sonic 06, and I think for the 20th anniversary of that game, it would be really fitting to have that trio come back and have another boss battle again and have more significance in the story again with all three characters. It could really be something special, and I hope that they go in that direction. If not for this next game, then maybe the next one after, right? For Frontiers 3. So with that being said, I don't want this video to go on too long, but I do want to mention that Sonic Cybernetics Episode 7 is really kicking off production now. I finally got settled in. Yes, there's been a lot of moving going on. I've been bouncing around all over the United States at this point. And I finally, no more moving from now on. But it's funny that like every update video I've done, I've been in like a completely different place, more or less. So yeah, hopefully there's no more moving and I can really lock in and get to making more videos and being more consistent. But yeah, I just do want to let you guys know that production is going very well. And, I'm just firing on all cylinders over here. So it's really been a blast working on this, but yeah, it has been a lot. This episode is the biggest thing yet. It doesn't even look like Gary's Mod animation anymore. I don't even know. Like, I've got it to a point where it just looks like its own thing. I'm really feeling good and really feeling confident in this project. I cannot wait to show you guys more, which, speaking of, I'm going to be doing an update video very soon at the beginning of January, probably like January 1st or 2nd, somewhere around there. I'll have the video out and I'll be going into much more detail into what you guys can expect from me, my channel, the show, everything. Sonic Cybernetics Episode 8, I've also been working on at the same time. I have a few scenes done for that too. They're kind of like a 1-2 punch, they go together, and Episode 8 and then the movie combining all the episodes together is going to come out at the end of this year of 2026. But again, we'll go into more detail on that later. But I just want to say that I appreciate you guys so much for sticking around and being so patient with me and all this crazy moving and all these things that have been keeping me away from being more present on this channel. And you guys have been so awesome, and I've loved talking with with you guys in the comments, and it's been such a blast. Especially, I've noticed a lot of newcomers, a lot of new subscribers, and it's been nice to talk to you as well. And so I just hope to have more discussions with you all, and I really appreciate the comments, whether it be on a community post or in one of my newer videos, although there haven't been many of those, so it's mostly been community posts, I think, and just like comments on older videos that I've been replying to, but I really do appreciate it. It means a whole lot. And finally reaching 2,200 subs, and I really appreciate that support. Feel free, if you guys have any questions about the show or what you guys can expect in the future, do drop it in the comments below, and I'm going to be responding to as many as I can. You know how I am. I respond to as many comments as I possibly humanly can. So thank you guys so much. I'll be seeing you all in the next video. Peace out, creators.